And this morning, the Ghana National Association of Private Schools praises President John Mahama's decision to include private schools in free senior high school policy. On international fronts, M23 rebels in Eastern DR Congo seized town on key supply routes. And later in sports, Arsenal is on some of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Do stay. You're welcome back to the program. Remember, the bulletin is streaming all across the world on Facebook at Globe TGA. You can join us with your thoughts and comment. This morning we begin from the presidency. President John Dramani Mahama yesterday, January 22nd, sworn in 6 ministerial nominees following their approval by Parliament on Tuesday, January 21st. The nominees who underwent regular vetting and ministerial debates form part of the initial batch of appointment submitted for parliamentary approval. I'm joined today by my colleague Bella Tete to dive right into these outcomes. Bella Tete, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm fine. Let's go straight to the point. Yesterday, the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, made some inauguration with regard to the ministerial appointments. You were monitoring the event. Walk us to some of these things.
All right. So yesterday, the Excellency, Your Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, swore in some 6 ministers, and that's the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atofosin, and then we have the Minister for Roads and Highways, Dr. Kwame Govins Agboja, and then we have the Minister for Energy, Dr. Abdullahi Bujinapo. Then we have the Minister for Agric
and Eric Opoku.
Yes, right. And then we have the Minister for Justice,
Attorney General and
Minister for Justice, Dominic Ayine.
All right.
So these are some of the mandates of the various ministries. Let's start with the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atofosin. His main mandate in office is to focus on reduction in inflation. So as it stands now, inflation peaks at 23.8%. So he's supposed to make sure that there's reduction on inflation, and also he's supposed to reduce the cost of living. So currently Ghanaians are struggling. He needs to put in policies to make sure that the standard cost of living is at least okay for the ordinary Ghanaians. Yes, and he's supposed to reduce national debt to sustainable levels. Also, he's supposed to stabilize the cedi. So at least if they can't reduce, or if they can't make it go a bit stronger, then they're supposed to stabilize it for the ordinary guy.
Yeah, per my last check, the cedi is hovering to the dollar, is hovering somewhere 15 cedis and some pesos.
Yes. So at least they should stabilize it for us, and also reduce the deficit to achieve macroeconomic stability. Let's move on to the next ministry. That is the Minister for Energy. Now, his mandate in office is supposed to be to do stable and efficient power supply. So with the energy sector that is supposed, or allegedly, looking at the looming crisis,
the power crisis,
he's supposed to ensure that an efficient power supply, and he's also supposed to accelerate upstream and downstream sector. So the upstream and downstream sector basically has to do with the oil sector, and so he's supposed to maintain or accelerate that sector, and he's supposed to manage energy sector debt and subsequent removal. Let's look at the next minister, the Minister for Food and Agriculture. Is supposed to ensure that there's food security, and is also supposed to make sure we have cheap and affordable food supply. So this is his main mandate in office. Let's look at the next minister. That's the Minister for Roads and Highways. It's supposed to maintain the existing road infrastructure. So it's going to be cancelled, but they are going to reset it. So if they are going to reset the free senior high school, then they should put in measures to make it, to ensure that it's quality and it's accessible and affordable. And also the Superintendent and National Review Committee is supposed to superintend the National Review Committee on Education, and also ensure stakeholders dialogue on how to improve education outcomes. So that's basically the mandate of the Education Minister. And also let's look at the office of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. It's supposed to reform the justice system to be fair and transparent to Ghanaians. And also he's responsible for holding public officials accountable. Also he's supposed to hold public officials accountable for state resources and ensure they face justice.
That's
so basically
the
oral comes in. So he's supposed to make sure he supervises the oral team to do their work, and he's supposed to shepherd the National Constitutional Validation Conference to amend the Constitution. So there's been a committee that has been set up for the amendment of the Constitution. And so he's supposed to spearhead that or shepherd that. So that's basically the mandate of the various ministries that has been sworn in yesterday by President John Dramani Mahama.
Bella, before I let you go, yesterday the president also mentioned some success chalk for the past 14 days in office. What are some of these success for the past 14 days? I remember he talked about the fact that there have been plans underway by the free SHS policy, whereby there are free food available for students who just reopened 2 weeks ago. There was available food for them to, eat while they are going in school. And also with regard to the looming power crisis, I think the president also touched briefly on that. So can you walk us through some of them?
He tells us that they've been able to avert the looming crisis in the energy sector. So we are hopeful that the energy minister that has been just sworn in will be able to put in measures to sustain the crisis that has been averted. He should put in more measures to make sure that our energy sector will be stable for us.
Bella, the president also mentioned about the fact that his government will not tolerate disrespect for the Ghanaian people. So I think that is laudable, isn't it?
It is very laudable. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. Because you are serving the ordinary Ghanaian. It is an insult to us. So they are supposed to listen to us and make sure they serve us the way we want it.
Well, Bella, we can assure the president here that we here at Globe TV are watching him and monitoring his activities keenly, and also hold him accountable.
Step of the way, we are going to hold him accountable.
Bella, thank you very much for bringing us this update.
Thank you too.
That was my colleague Belinda Tete giving us this update from the sworn-in ceremony yesterday by the President John Dramani Mahama. To some other stories, speaking during the swearing-in ceremony at the Jubilee House, President reaffirmed his commitment to leading the most streamlined administration in Ghana's history. He vowed to maintain a lean government by limiting ministerial appointment to 60, ensuring efficiency and effectiveness in his team.
14 days after I took the oath of office, which was yesterday, that promise stood fulfilled. I presented to the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament names of 23 sector ministers, 3 ministers of state, and 16 regional ministers for the approval of Parliament. So far, I've named 42 ministers of state and regional ministers to begin the urgent task of resetting our dear country Ghana, which has suffered in recent years from severe crisis in many sectors. As the ministers are approved by Parliament and as they are sworn in, I'll proceed to name deputy ministers for some of the ministries, which will bring the total ministers to 60, as I promised the people of Ghana. This will make this government Ghana's leanest and I believe most efficient government ever.
Now, speaking of that swearing in, the new Minister for Finance, Dr. Kassil Atofosin, pledged his unwavering commitment to ensuring President Mohamed become the most successful president in the Fourth Republic.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Chief of Staff, and senior officials at the Presidency, colleagues, let me, on behalf of my colleagues, thank His Excellency the President for the honor done us in nominating us to represent you as Ministers of State. Mr. President, we have been with you throughout your days in opposition. We have witnessed the misgovernance and misrule of the previous administration. We've learned, indeed, that Ghanaians will not tolerate such misgovernance any longer. We've taken a cue from what you've just told us. We want to assure you that we will serve and serve in such a way to make you the best president in the Fourth Republic. Mr. President, we are also aware of the state of the Ghanaian economy, the state of our energy sector, the state of our justice system, the agriculture sector, and indeed the education sector. We want to assure you that whilst we start work today, we will begin the process to reset the country together with you and your team. We thank you so much for the honor done us and will not let you down.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is raising concerns about the possible breach of Section 4.1 of the Presidential Office Act 1993, which provides that persons be appointed to the office of the President subject to the approval of the Council of State. The caucus raised these issues due to what they termed as lack of recourse to due process, as the latter did not refer this appointment to the Council of State. They are asking for due process to be adhered to.
What is the problem of the minority? In the spirit of our Constitution, Act 463 was enacted. That is the Presidential Office Act of 1993, one of the first acts that was established by the Parliament of Ghana to give effect to the functioning of the office of the President. And let me read a long title of the act to you for the benefit of your reportage. An act to establish the presidential office to provide for staff for the President and Vice President, to provide for their functions and for related purposes. I'll turn your attention to Section 4.1 of the Act. And with your kind permission, journalists and friends of the media, I'll read. The President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint such persons as he considers necessary to hold office as presidential staff in the office. The interpretation section of the Act defines office to mean office of the President and Vice President, and presidential staff to mean persons appointed under Section 4.1 of this Act. Section 4.1 states that the President shall appoint such officers in consultation with what? The Council of State. We as a minority believe that the President has acted in breach of this Act, or the provisions of Act 463. And we are requesting of the President to kindly withdraw this letter and act in consultation with the Council of State, which is not in place. At best, this letter could have been issued with a paragraph to state that these appointments are being made pending the composition of the Council of State, and that they will be regularized in conformity with this Act.
You're still watching the Wake Up News on Globe TV. I am Bright AWUSI. Coming up on the program, the Ghana National Association of Private Schools praises President Mohamed's decision to include private schools in the free senior high school policy. Details wrap shortly. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back to the program. To some business story, the Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, has underscored the urgent need to revitalize the Commander Sugar Factory to benefit the Ghanaian populace. The factory has remained dormant due to shortage of raw materials, a persistent challenge that has significantly impeded its operations. And during an appearance before the Appointment Committee of Parliament on January 22nd, Ofosu-Ejare stressed the importance of revamping the factory as a crucial step towards reducing the nation's reliance on sugar imports.
I want to ask you about Commander Sugar Factory. The last government tried to make it into a white elephant. What has been your brief on Commander Sugar Factory, and what is the way forward?
Thank you very much. I've had a quick
nominee. You can proceed to answer the question, but take away the white elephant aspect of it.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. White elephant is duly taken away. I have walked quickly through the ministry by a briefing I received about Commander Sugar Factory. I've been told that as we speak, it is not operational. And one of the major challenges the factory has suffered was the lack of raw material to feed that industry and some missing parts. I've also been told that monies were released to solve these problems. And the total health of the factory should be done after an evaluation. And so I will work to ensure that we know the actual health of the factory. But it's obvious that we need that factory to work for the benefit of Ghanaians, because we are importing about $500,000 worth of sugar into this country. And so once I take office, I will work together with the ministry to ensure that we assess the health of the factory and do whatever it takes to put the factory on stream by whatever means to ensure that Ghana benefits from that monumental project.
Madam, how long do you foresee that it may take for us to operationalize this factory? I have paid a visit to the place. Everything is intact, and we are ready to see it operational. So what is the timeline that you would give to the good people of Commander Edna Eguafo Abrem?
Thank you very much for the question. The answer
to the Bono East Region, the Bono East Regional Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Joseph Prince Soregan, has praised President Mohammed's decision to include private schools into the free senior high school policy. According to him, the decision will address major challenges with implementing the policy since its introduction in 2017. My colleague Idris Hamzata has more.
Initially, the free senior high school policy, launched by former President Akufo-Addo's government, only covered public schools, sparking concerns among stakeholders about the exclusion of private schools. However, President Mohammed's 2024 manifesto brought new hope, promising to extend the policy to private schools. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu reassured the public of this commitment during his vetting by the Parliament Appointment Committee. This move has been welcomed by stakeholders, including the Bono East Regional Chairman of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NAPS, and a proprietor of Page 1 Educational Complex, Joseph Prince Soregan, emphasizing its tendency to address major challenges with the implementation of the policy, including the double-track system and the feeding program challenges.
The challenge about the school feeding program has to do with the quality, and the quality was as a result of the numbers that the government was unable to absorb all the children at the time. So you and I know that we have to go the double track system. This government is saying that instead of the double track system, they would rather include the private schools, senior high schools, such that the child that will go to school 3 months, come and sit home 3 months, the private schools will be absorbing them. And the amount of money the government would have spent on the child at the government school, he will give the same amount to the proprietor at the private school. And at the end of the day, Ghana will benefit.
Raising concerns about the review of the policy and the entire educational system, Prince Soregan noted that the move is a step in the right direction. He acknowledges that the current educational system has challenges, but stakeholders have politicized the issues instead of finding solutions.
President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, has emphatically stated that they are going to review the educational system right from the nursery to the university, which we think that this review is geared towards quality. The reason being that we all have seen the problem in the educational sector, but we have played politics with it. So nobody has had that confidence or to want to touch anything. The free senior high is one of the best things that have happened to this country. For me, I always say that the free senior high is a best policy, but the implementation had challenge.
Prince Soregan is optimistic that the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu's experience will positively impact the education sector.
NAPS, as a body of private schools, welcome the good news of the choice of the Education Minister, Honorable Haruna Idrisu. All of us can recall that even when his government was not in power, Haruna Idrisu played an instrumental role at the Hang Parliament. And we believe strongly that with his choice as Education Minister, Ghana education will move forward, especially that the NDC has made a case that they are coming to review the free SHS.
For Globe News, Idris Hamzata.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana has issued a warning to the public regarding a misleading video circulating on social media. The video falsely claims that AC-branded bags containing ballot papers are filled with dollars being smuggled by the New Patriotic Party. However, the Commission has clarified that the bags contain the ballot papers meant for the extraction due to serialization issues. According to the Electoral Commission, the extraction of ballots papers of the Ahafo and the vote regions was announced ahead of the 2024 general elections. The exercise was carried out by the Zoom Lion under the committee's supervision, and the media was invited to cover the event. In the spirit of transparency that characterized the commission's operations, the media were invited to cover the distraction, the committee noted. The EC said certificate of distraction and the original video are available to prove that the claims made in the misleading video are false. Coming up shortly on the international France, M23 rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo seized town on key supply route. It is wrapped shortly, don't go anywhere. On international fronts, M23 rebels seized the town of Minova in the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo, a key supply route for the provincial capital, Goma, authorities said on Tuesday. The move led to an exodus of people in the face of a new offensive by the rebel group, which has taken several strategic towns in recent weeks.
People fleeing renewed fighting in Democratic Republic of Congo disembarked from overcrowded boats in Goma on Wednesday, seeking refuge after M23 rebels seized a main supply route for the provincial capital. The Tutsi-led M23 rebel group took the eastern town of Minova, a local governor and a rebel leader said on Tuesday. The army has reported fighting on all fronts. Hundreds of displaced people have made their way to Goma. Some recounted fleeing multiple times as the front lines shifted and walking for days without food or shelter.
I am very hungry. I left Minova yesterday for Nzulo, but the situation in Nzulo is not good either. So now I'm heading somewhere, but I don't know where.
Government forces fought to secure Minova, but were eventually forced out, a civil society leader told Reuters. They said the rebels then tried to convince people to stay in the town after they started fleeing to more secure areas. This video from Minova shows a man said to be from M23 telling residents there that President Felix Tshisekedi has abandoned the Congolese people. The fall of Minova, located about 25 miles from Goma, raises concerns that the rebels may advance toward the major city. The M23 group has been waging a renewed insurgency in the Central African country's east since 2022. Congo and the United Nations accuse neighboring Rwanda of backing the group with its own troops and weapons. Rwanda denies this. People fleeing.
And for more local and international stories, you can always count on our website at globetvonline.com. Coming up in sports, Arsenal is on step close. Don't go anywhere. Arsenal is on a step closer to securing exports in the Champions League, like 16 defeating Dinamo Zagreb 3-0. The Gunners got off to a strong start, with Declan Rice scoring his first Champions League goal just 2 minutes into the game. Robert Konye, Haruna Idris at 9 a.m. with the latest development from the world of sports. Let's take a recap of our top stories. President John Dramani Mahama sworn in says ministerial nominee following the approval by Parliament on Tuesday, January 21st. The Ghana National Association of Private Schools praises President Mahamad's decision to include private schools in the free senior high school policy. And the M23 rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo seized down on key supply routes. And Arsenal is on a step closer to secure the entire production team led by Alexander Ohineja and directed by Bella Tete. Many thanks for watching. I am Bright AWUSI. Have a good morning and enjoy the rest of our program. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.